Hello everybody. Yes, I know, before we start this off, I have gone and shaved my head. I haven't shaved it off completely, but it's not because I'm getting on the bandwagon and doing the whole short hair thing. I did this a little while ago, in between the Doom recordings and now, obviously. But basically I got like a skin problem, scalp problem, and I'm just trying to give the skin, as it were, as little tension as possible, so I've just shaved it off. As you can see, some little red blotches here and there. That's a birthmark, that one. But anyway, so today's episode is going to be a little different, or today's video I should say, is going to be a little different, because I was reading this book, and as you can see by the shiny insignia on the front, it's the Slayer book. That I got with the collector's edition. I got with the helmet edition, and as I shown in the video, like, it's got some stuff in there. Like, there's the Baron of Hell, there's the bitch from the first one, Olivia something Pierce, I think, and then some zombies. Big one, the Crucible, the demonic Crucible. But you get the point. But basically, like, it that was Elemental from the first game. But basically, so this whole book is a book. Like, it actually has words in it, and I thought, you know what, why not make a video out of it, of reading a story. I've heard, as I've watched some of the footage back, well, especially on Markiplier's channel, if I'm honest, because he reads a lot of the lore that he picks up, at least in the last couple episodes I've watched of him do. And some of the bits that it was talking about, I've actually heard from when I've read this book here and there. I haven't read the whole thing, but yeah, I have read some of the scripture. I have read some of the pages, and also that would make a badass tattoo, don't you think? Like, right either on my shoulder or on my chest. That'd be dope. Focus, please. Focus, please. As you can see, they're like very detailed, and I was just thinking that'd be pretty dope as a tattoo. But anyway, so yes, but the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to have some gameplay footage in the background, and then obviously I'm going to read this, and I'm going to try and edit my voice to be as, what was his name, King Novik or something like that, the dude that speaks in the beginning, you know, that we will send to them only you. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to do, not that sort of a voice, but I'm going to try and get a, well, no, what am I on about? That's the kind of voice I'm going for. So he's reading a story. Look at that shit, that looks so dope. But yeah, so, and obviously Lucifer's Bane. The gun's got a name now, and I'd love to have a cosplay of that, so I've got the helmet and then the actual gun. So anyway, I'm going to read this, so I'll be back in a second with the gameplay.
In the first age, in the first battle, when the shadows first lengthened, one stood, burned by the embers of Armageddon, his soul blistered by the fires of hell, and tainted beyond ascension. He chose the path of perpetual torment. In his ravenous hatred he found no peace, and with boiling blood he scoured the umbral plains, seeking vengeance against the Dark Lords who had wronged him. He wore the crown of the Night Sentinels, and those that tasted the bite of his sword named him the Doom Slayer. Tempered by the fires of hell, his iron will remained steadfast through the passage that preys upon the weak, for he alone was the Hellwalker, the unchained predator, who sought retribution in all quarters, dark and light, fire and ice, in the beginning and the end, and he hunted the slaves of doom with barbarous cruelty, for he passed through the divide as none but demon had before. And in his conquest against the blackened souls of the doomed, his prowess was shown. In his crusade, the Sephirim bestowed upon him terrible power and speed, and with his might he crushed the obsidian pillars of the blood temples. He set forth without pity upon the beasts of the Nine Circles, unbreakable, incorruptible, unyielding. The Doomslayer sought to end the dominion of the Dark Realm. The age of his reckoning was uncounted. The scribes carved his name deep in the tablets of hell across eons, and each battle etched terror in the hearts of the demons. They knew he would come, as he always had, and he always will, to feast on the blood of the wicked, for he alone could draw strength from his fallen foes, and ever his power grew, swift and unrelenting. None could stand before the horde but the Doomslayer. Despair spread before him like a plague, striking fear into the shadow dwellers, driving them to deeper and darker pits. But from the depths of the abyss rose the Great One, a champion mightier than all who had come before, the Titan of immeasurable power and ferocity. He strode upon the plain and faced the Doomslayer, and a mighty battle was fought on the desolate plains. The Titan fought with the fury of the countless that had fallen at the Doomslayer's hand, but there fell the Titan, and in his defeat the Shadow Horde were routed. And in his terrible rancor, between worlds and through time, the Hellwalker found the wretch who shall not be named, but in his heresy was loyal to his evil cause. The wretch adorned the Doomslayer in a mighty armour, wrought in the forges of hell, impenetrable and unyielding. With sword and shield of adamantine strength, the Doomslayer set to banishing all that were left unbroken by his savagery to the void. Yet as the mighty Titan fell, and dread engulfed the armies of doom, the demon priests of the blood temples laid a trap to capture this surge of hell. Insatiable, even by the vanquishing of the Great One, the Hellwalker sought prey in the tombs of the Blood Keep, and blinded by his fervor, the lure drew him in. The priests brought down the temple upon the Doomslayer, and in his defeat entombed him in the cursed sarcophagus. The mark of the Doomslayer was burned upon his crypt, a warning to all of hell that the terror within must never be freed. There he lies still, and evermore in silent suffering. The sting of the Slayer's abominable arsenal casts fear into the lowest of our kin. Its blazing barrels of brimstone spew his vitriol and loathing upon us, and cast our brethren to the dirt. Mark the venom of his chosen apparatus of agony, the diabolical musket, Lucifer's bane, its claw of pig iron gouging the flesh of the martyr, and hurrying him upon us. Curse the name of his beloved treasure, curse the Hellwalker's device of torment. We shall cast it to the smelter, and gild his entrails with the slurry. All falls before the command of hell, for our power is absolute, our march to victory inevitable. Before our armies, even the elemental wraiths of Argent and Noah were subjugated. In that great victory, the Night Sentinels, protectors of the wraiths, were betrayed by one of their own, and the wretches wept as we devoured their world and took the well for our devices. None stand against us, for treachery resides in all things, and we shall set it free. Through the Titan's realm and down, down to the great steppe where the trophies of victory are kept through the ages. Their false idols banished to the wasteland, their towers fallen, their foundations ground to dust, their hallowed halls kept empty as cruel reminders that civilization shall fall before the ascension of the Great One. Pay no tribute to the mind of the infidel, how facile it is, how simple to turn it upon itself. It moulds in vanity, lingers in greed, and longs for fraudulent sovereignty. Yet among their fetid order, they rise through these traits, believing themselves suited and potent. They seek dominion over all, and see not the limit of their feeble existence, worshipping the burning light. Only through the shadow of the Dark Lords are they enlightened. They impudently drink from the poisoned chalice, for their weak minds cannot fathom our plot. And as the pain takes its irrevocable hold, their cries for mercy are mocked by the true masters. His breath smells not of man, he knows our kind and we of him. Though the cause be lost, yet still the treacherous nature of the loosened defiler is beyond measure. Even as his realm is consumed by the forces of hell, his arrogant gait dares walk upon our hallowed ground, dressed in vanity iron and idolizing his own adherent form. But the eye of judgment sees all, and his rancorous ways unknown. Payment for his foul deeds will be swift, for the defiler pays service to the unchained predator. In his betrayal we shall smelt his pig iron in the fire to forge blade and armor from his carcass, so that he may mark our retribution as tools of our campaign. Glory of the night, did we not set the human world ablaze on the Day of Atonement? Their weak emblems of power were broken and turned to rubble as they wailed. In their darkest hour we spewed Thaxor, the great nest, the carnage of carnage, spawned deep in the heart of their sacred grounds. And from it we poured and poured, our number uncounted, swarming upon the vile sputum as vultures flock the cadaver. Though the lucent defiler led their pitiful masses against us, they were no match for our valour. As the walls fell, he fled the battlefield to canker in his lair, and we feasted on the corpses of his bastard children. Fear not the way of the light dwellers. Their invention is foolish. In their pride, they explode the flank. In their avarice, they welcome the long night. Their means are paltry, they will feeble. What machines of war do they set against us? None that will be crushed under the foot of the Titans, or ravaged at the inclination of the Dark One. Let them indulge in their mechanical conceit, for when we lay siege to their ivory tower, they shall know the truth. The unyielding fury of hate will turn their shining pillars to dust. Patience in shadow fashions victory. Our night will come, and their skin shall blister in our glory. For in purity there lurks corruption. In the virtuous the snake of deceit whips a forked tongue. Let them praise their false gods and croon under their anemic overlords. When the day of reckoning comes, we shall take their idols and turn them to our fettle. Even as the kin of the adherent one worship their divinity, we wait, sieving, devising our infernal intrigue. Then they shall know the true meaning of godly power. They shall see that the false gods of the light dwellers are but parasites on the tail of the Dark One. We drain their blood and burn the souls of the infidels in the fountain of eternal damnation. By their misery we are renewed, our hand invigorated, our armies bolstered. Under the all-seeing eye the sullied wretches serve us, carcass and conscience, until their penance in the chains of servitude have been paid. For no matter their vile form in the realm of burning light, in the domain of endless shadow, they are magnificent. All will serve, all become legion. The snorting beast of the umbral plains, the nameless, scent the blood as no other. Regard the dragging of the cloven hoof, for it is war sign, and marks the coming of the prey. When wise to the quarry, they thunder to the fray, their jousting horns wet and stropped by the keepers. Their ferocious snarling and chomping for flesh will break the knee of even the staunchest rival. The swine are faithful to the task, but mindless in their hunger. Husband them well, and they will smell the kill, and the chain is dropped. Marvel at the slaughter they bring. Praise the Ebon Leech, the bone striders, protectors of the spoils. The pilfering recreant shall not pass them, for in their task they are fervent, and in his craving he is naked. Though the slayer seeks the crucible, its dreadful power holds no quarter for the deviant. As he grovels in its magnitude, the Hellguard will desolate his head and feed it to the imps. The priests of the Vale of Shadows shall choose their warden from the mightiest warriors of the blood pits. For the exalted calling, only the worthiest shall be anointed to the Kapolskila battalion. Those of the hallowed order must be versed in battle, mightier than the Gargasker of Drumovi, swifter than the Leviathan of Srax Orman, and more ferocious than the nameless that scavenged the great steppe. Above all, the gladiator stands firm, his ward behind his shield, battened against all who oppose the coming of annihilation. Marvel in the presence of the Arami Imperatrix, her age uncounted, her form mercurial. In her wisdom the crooked devices of the traitors are transformed, bent to the will of the Atricop Queen. Even she lurks in the shadows, biding for the wretch to sacrifice itself to the fire in her name. She keeps watch on her treasured cache, the soul of her sufferers, bound in rock and turmoil in perpetuity. She smoulders, growing ever stronger until the gate is opened, the web is cast, and her collection risen. By the hexen of the priests we march, brought unto the enemy through the runes. Though their realm of the heathen is vast, ever will the predator hook the serpentine slot of the prey, and when the first soul feeds the fountain, the deal is struck, the rune is cut, the fate dealt. Thus the enemy is baited, with no sanctum for harbour, and no corner to conceal their stench, for we know the way is written. They are laid bare before the night's wall, spread prone and pleading in the burning fist, waiting for the army of hell to rectify their unholy path. In the third age the rune of Drumavi was worked. The heretics, demented in their hubris, coveted the eye, and marked not the augury of its terrible power. They craved the sorcery of demonkind, and in their insolence begged for the reckoning. Thus it was brought upon them, by scythe and bludgeon, through the gift of the all-seeing eye. The onslaught was brutal, and no mercy granted. We razed their castles and laid their land barren. We impaled their filthy corpses on the battlefields and gorged on their entrails. We consecrated the blood-soaked ground with the feast of Drumavi, their bodies consumed and their souls fed to the fountain. All hail the glory of our realm, our triumphant temples scorching, our pits of despair overflowing with infidel fodder for the Dark Lords. Bend your unworthy knee under the grandeur of the forsaken cathedral, where the basilica of judgment casts its eye upon your unworthy existence. Drink the foul black water from the font of agony, then brand your flesh in the forge of the betrayer. Supplicate yourself to our design, for we build monument on desolation, and raise pillar on bone. Our brick is the bone of the enemy, and their blood is the strength in the mortar. In the hour of their defeat, as the ravenous horde fed upon the children of Praxitavas, the Black Guard unleashed their mightiest warrior into the fray, the Gargaska. His eyes cast far across the battlefield, his basalt mace seeking a worthy opponent among our gathering storm. To his challenge strode the Balga, he that was taken and returned. His burning blade rised high in salute to the Dark Lords. The Balga cut a path through our horde to meet the enemy Goliath. In the heathen's temple of Tol Petrus, they set upon each other, two titans matched in will and purpose. None survived beneath their wrath. Droves of men and demon laid waste by their struggle, and as the mighty temple fell, the enemy cowards were routed and turned on themselves. The Blackguard's lines broken, the Gargaska stood alone, his flesh burning from the touch of the Balga, his iron will crippled to despair. The Balga cleft his legs with one magnificent cut of the sword, then fed the bone to his minions. Thus the hand of fate was dealt, and the great ones obliterated the blasphemous land of Argent de Nur. They came in number, the giants of extermination, the Leviathan, the Gargaska, and the Serpenta. At their head strode the icon of sin, he that souped the heart blood of the betrayer's son, champion of champions, the architect of slaughter. He cast dread upon the heretics, and the cowards fled before him as mewling whelps. In his presence they felt the betrayal of their own kind, and witnessed the delusion of their righteous nature exposed. And as the father wept, the son feasted on the flesh of his kin. He shall tread upon the souls of the enemy, the greatest of the horde, the blood drinker, for he is the eater of worlds. His name is Malice, and his hunger shall never be sated. He comes with insidious nature, for they will seek to control the icon, and in their rotten desire they shall bring upon themselves horror wrought by the mighty hand of sin. Let them call, let the wretched beg for his presence, and then in his aftermath we shall gorge on the greed of their hope.
And that was a very interesting read. I'd only read a few pages at the beginning and a couple at the end. I didn't really read the middle. But that's actually the story from the demon side. I did not realise that, considering it's got the Slayer's symbol on it. But that was actually pretty interesting. I love the ending. I'm definitely going to put a little flair. I'll definitely put a little flair on it. Obviously, you've seen that bit by now. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it has been very insightful. But yes, there's a lot of things in Doom Eternal. It's just a game purely based on lore. Just lore alone, just the story. And I love, as I've said plenty of times in other games, I love a game with a good story to it. Even if it's a short one, if it's good, it's good. And I love a game with a good story. The Mass Effect series is one of the best ones in my opinion, just because you can change so much as you go along and have a different outcome each time. And that's why I love them games. That's why I love the whole New Game Plus concept. And quite frankly, in Doom Eternal, it's not so much New Game Plus, it's just you can keep going back and playing it, you know, but it's like, I'd imagine they're going to add some DLC to it, make some extensions to the story, like what happened after the Doomslayer, what happened in between 2016 and this one, you know, so Doom from 2016 and Doom Eternal, like what happened in between then. Like obviously Samuel Hayden at the end takes the demonic crucible and he has it himself, and somehow he's able to activate it. I don't know how that happened, but he activated it, and then he walks away with it and sends the Doomslayer off somewhere else, and then obviously cut to credits and you can just play the game again as normal sort of thing, you know. But then, like I say, in this one there is so much more, not just gameplay but just secrets and more lore and so on and so forth. I've done nothing but VR for pretty much the past year and I haven't picked up my VR headset for been going on about a month and a half, 2 months now. I really haven't played about with it too often, so I'm definitely going to have to pick that back up. But yeah, so I'm going to leave it here, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. It would be nice to have a like. Leave a like if you have. I think I've already said this before, so I won't say it again. But I hope you had a nice day and a nice night. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. But first, we must pay homage to Prince Vegeta and the Doomslayer. Remember to like and subscribe. Better yet, I'll have my subordinate teach you a lesson.